Have you ever watched the person you love become a complete stranger right before your eyes? The screen of her phone cast a pale, ghostly light on her face at 2 a.m., a face I suddenly didn't recognize. She was smiling, but it wasn't a smile for me. It was a secret, silent laugh in the dead of night, in the bed we shared. I saw a name I didn't know, a heart emoji that wasn't mine, and in that single, shattering moment, the foundation of my entire world turned to dust. She thought I was asleep. She thought her secrets were safe. She had no idea that I was about to become the ghost in her machine, the architect of her perfect, beautiful ruin. If you genuinely enjoy our stories, please subscribe to the channel. Tell us where you're from, what time it is right now. It's always fascinating to know how far our story flows. For 10 years, Sarah was my everything. We built a life in a quiet suburb of Chicago, on a street lined with old oak trees that felt as sturdy and reliable as I believed our marriage to be. I was a software engineer, a man who believed in logic, in systems, in things that made sense. Cheating was something that happened in movies to other people. It wasn't supposed to breach the walls of our tidy home on Maple Avenue. The first crack in the facade was so small I almost missed it. It was a sudden obsession with her phone, a device that had become a third hand. She started taking it into the bathroom, guarding the screen like it held state secrets. Then came the late nights at the office. Sarah was a marketing executive, so it was plausible. But the excuses became more frequent, the details more vague. "It's a client dinner," she'd say, her voice a little too bright, her eyes avoiding mine. The real shift was in her touch, or the lack of it. She grew cold, distant. My hand on her back would make her flinch. She started arguments over nothing, the way I loaded the dishwasher, the volume on the TV. It was like she was trying to build a wall between us, brick by brick, looking for a reason to justify what she was already doing. The woman I married, the one who'd laugh at my stupid jokes and hold my hand in the car, was being replaced by a cold, manipulative stranger. She and her lover, whoever he was, must have felt so safe, so untouchable in their bubble of deceit. They thought I was just the sad, oblivious husband, too stupid to see what was happening right under my nose. And for a while, they were right. I was just broken. The nights were the worst. I'd lie awake, listening to the sound of her breathing, my chest a hollow cavity of pain and humiliation. The man I used to be confident, happy, secure was gone. In his place was a ghost, haunting his own home, watching his life be dismantled by the one person who promised to protect it. The dam broke on a rainy Tuesday. I came home early, hoping to surprise her, maybe take her to that little Italian place we loved. I found a receipt in the trash from a hotel downtown, the Langham, right on the Chicago River. 2 glasses of champagne, a steak dinner for 2, dated the previous Friday, a night she was supposedly stuck in a board meeting. The name on the credit card slip wasn't hers. It was David Rosen. A quick search on her company's website showed me his face mug, confident, a senior VP in her department. It all clicked into place. The late nights, the secretive calls, the coldness. It wasn't a board meeting. It was a bed. That night, I didn't confront her. The broken man was gone. In his place, something cold and hard was beginning to form. Revenge. Not loud, explosive revenge, but a quiet, slow, and meticulous demolition. I was a man who built systems. Now, I would build a trap. For the next 3 months, I became a detective in my own life. I installed keystroke logging software on our home computer. I recovered deleted texts using a simple data recovery program. Every lie, every secret meeting, every "I love you" sent to him was now cataloged, saved, and filed away in a secure folder on a thumb drive I kept on my keychain. I read their plans, their private jokes, their contempt for me. "He's so clueless," she texted him one night while I was sitting right across the living room from her. The pain was a physical thing, a hot poker in my gut, but I channeled it. I met with the best divorce attorney in Chicago, a shark named Eleanor Vance. I laid out the evidence. Her eyes, cold and professional, lit up. "This is pristine," she said. "It can ruin her." We set the legal traps. I moved our joint savings into a separate account, legally, under the pretense of a safer investment strategy. I documented every asset, every purchase, every single thing. The final piece of the plan was the most theatrical. It was time for the public exposure. I knew from their texts that Sarah was desperate for David to leave his wife. He was hesitant, a coward at his core. I decided to force his hand. I created a fake email address and sent an anonymous tip to David's wife, complete with a few carefully selected, damning screenshots of their conversations. Then, I planned a dinner party. "Honey," I said to Sarah one evening, my voice dripping with the false sincerity I had perfected, "I was thinking we should have your boss over for dinner. David, right? It's about time I met the man who's keeping my wife so busy." The panic in her eyes was fleeting but exquisite. She couldn't refuse without raising suspicion. Of course she stammered. What a great idea. The night of the dinner was electric with unspoken tension. I cooked his favorite meal, a ribeye steak, just like the one on the hotel receipt. Sarah was a nervous wreck, flitting around the dining room, adjusting silverware, her smile stretched painfully tight. David arrived, oozing a smug charm that made my skin crawl. He shook my hand, a firm, confident grip, looking me in the eye as if I were an amusing inconvenience. "Good to finally meet you, Mark," he said. We made small talk. I played the part of the dutiful, slightly boring husband perfectly. I asked about his work, his family. "How are things at home, David?" I asked, pouring him a generous glass of red wine. "Everything good with the wife and kids?" He shifted in his seat. "Everything's great," he lied. Finally, after the main course, I stood up, clinking my glass. "I'd like to make a little toast," I began. Sarah looked at me, a flicker of hope in her eyes, thinking this was all for her, for us. David leaned back, a self-satisfied smirk on his face. "To Sarah," I said, raising my glass. "My brilliant, ambitious, and deeply loyal wife." I paused, letting the word loyal hang in the air. "And to David, for showing my wife what a real partnership looks like. In fact, you two have been so inseparable, I felt it was only right to celebrate your collaboration." I reached into my jacket pocket and pulled out a small stack of papers. I even brought party favors. I slid a set of documents across the table to Sarah. It was a copy of the divorce petition, citing adultery, with a full list of our assets showing her she was entitled to almost nothing due to the infidelity clause in our prenup, which Eleanor had discovered she'd violated. Then I turned to David and slid a thicker envelope to him. "And for you, David." His face went pale as he opened it. Inside were crystal-clear printouts of their most intimate texts, the hotel receipt, and a photo of them kissing in a parking garage that a private investigator had taken for me. At that exact moment, the doorbell rang. "Who could that be?" I said with a calm smile. I opened the door to reveal David's wife, her face a mask of cold fury. She was holding her own copy of the evidence I had sent her. The room fell into a silence so profound you could hear a heart break. Sarah's carefully constructed world imploded in a single, silent, horrifying instant. There was no shouting, no screaming, just the quiet, devastating sound of complete and utter ruin. She left that night with nothing but a suitcase. The divorce was swift and brutal. David's wife filed the next day, and the scandal destroyed his career. They were ruined socially and financially, just as I had planned. I sold the house on Maple Avenue, the one with the sturdy oak trees, moved into a sleek, minimalist apartment in downtown Chicago, overlooking the river. Sometimes I stand at the window and watch the city lights flicker, a million little stories playing out in the dark. I don't feel happy, not in the way I used to. The victory is hollow. The silence in my apartment is heavy. I destroyed her life, but in the process, I had to burn down my own. I won, but I lost everything I ever loved. The end.